We are all very aware what are the top weapons in Destiny, because everyone's using them. But what about the absolute worst of the worst? Today we're going to go over the top 5 worst exotics in Destiny, like the most dog. These are weapons you only bring out if you're feeling the need to throw. And if you think something's on this list that shouldn't be, or I totally missed something, let me know. Let's go ahead and jump right into number 5. Number 5, the Manticore. When you're using an SMG, you want to be running, gunning, and jumping around corners. You want to be very nimble, allowing you to dodge and duck to cause enemies to miss bullets. So the last thing you want is a weapon that restricts movement. And the Manticore does exactly that. The Manticore has it so when you deal damage while grounded, you charge your repulsor. Once charged, you'll be able to float while dealing increased damage. Sounds pretty cool, but in reality it holds back your ability to move around, making it so you're a floating target, allowing for any enemy with a better ranged weapon like a pulse or sniper to pluck you out of the air. As someone who enjoys movement of Destiny, this is the bane of my existence. The amount of times I've hovered off the cliff, into a grenade, or been blasted because I jumped and got stuck above cover is astronomical. In both PvE and PvP, this thing is worse than a funnel web and Ikelos. So justifying an exotic slot for a worse SMG just doesn't make sense to me. Please avoid the Manticore at all costs, as it has an average range and med damage, unless you're floating, and you will get killed more than you will kill. Number 4, the Queenbreaker. Linear fusion rifles have been the meta in Destiny for quite some time, but the Queenbreaker has not received its fair share of love for LFRs. Why is that? It's because the Queenbreaker is awful. It fires a long-range blinding bolt. Yep, that's it. Sure, you could say, yippee, the enemies can't see. But what you're using this linear for is fast, high damage, and this weapon doesn't have that. It gets outclassed by legendaries like the Tapian and Storm Chaser, which can roll with better perks like Clown Cartridge and Firing Line. If I cannot convince you to never use this thing, please let the numbers tell you otherwise. On Destiny Insights, you can see the Tapian gets used 300 times more than the Queenbreaker. As of right now, there is zero reason to use the Queenbreaker, and it provides nothing that other LFRs can. Side note, there's a nerf coming to linears in Lightfall that will not be applying to the Queenbreaker, but I don't think this will make it a viable option regardless. Number 3, Worldline Zero. The Worldline Zero was a close competitor for second, but it barely gets beat out. Let's talk about why it deserves third. At one point, the Zero was a speedrunning king, allowing you to skate around the entire map in ways unseen before. Well, yeah, that got nerfed, so what can you do with it now? You can blink forward a few feet and swing it. Yeah, that's about all. No real use for it besides the expected damage from a sword. In all honesty, it gets beat out by the Black Talon for ad clear and gets obliterated by the Lament for boss damage. Plus, swords require you to get up close in PvE and PvP, which, once again, it'll get outclassed. The Black Talon can fire from a range, and the Lament will allow you to heal on kills, which both give you that safety net that the Zero does not have. So without it having crazy movement speed, there's very little reason to use the Worldline Zero. Now let us see what took second place from the Worldline. Number 2, Darcy. What the f is the point of this weapon, besides to tell your team that the enemy has A negative blood, likes to bowl on the weekends, has a foot fetish, and his family has a history of high blood pressure? In all seriousness, the Darcy will not bring anything to the table. It'll show up to Thanksgiving dinner with a plate of nothing. Sure, you could get the exotic perk, Target Acquired, to deal way more precision damage and jolt the target, but Target Acquired is a worthless trait. It gives you bonus damage for aiming at the enemy, which you have to do anyways to shoot at them. I cannot see how that can be a worthwhile trait, especially when other snipers have perks that cause lightning storms or allow you to match 4 bullets into 1. Also, you can deal more damage with nearly every other power weapon and jolt the target with most newer arc weapons. By picking this, you're picking it over Galahorn, Lament, Thunderlord, Xenophage, and even Sleeper Simulant, which are all better weapons. This weapon is a gimmick that's been power crept out of existence that will need a massive rework to ever see the light of day again. Honorable mentions. There were 2 weapons I wanted to make sure got their fair share of the spotlight while talking about bad weapons, so these 2 will be brief. First, the Prospector. Not much of a point to use this grenade launcher unless you want to send the raid banners to Evan. Lastly, we have whatever weapon I decide to equip in PvP. This one's pretty self-explanatory. How can I pull out any weapon and still be absolute garbage with it while the enemy's using the exact same gun? It just doesn't make sense. Even with meta weapons, I will still have games with 0.3 KD. And please don't spam the comments with skill issue, because I promise it's not a skill issue and all my guns are bugged. So the weapon taking home the gold medal in awful weapons is Salvation's Grip. I'm sure everyone saw this one coming, because it f***ing sucks. It is really bad. To put it simply, it is a grenade launcher that you charge up to fire an ice crystal. Yep, that's it. And if you're like me and try to find the positives in life, well, here's what the Salvation Grip is good at. It can freeze. That's pretty cool, I guess. If you're one of the few people running stasis, then having extra ice crystals and freezing is cool. But a tilt clip grenade launcher is way more effective, and you'll have way more damage because the gripper hits for like 10. The only thing the Salvation Grip is truly number 1 at is helping you get to places you aren't supposed to be, like weird glitches or helping solve puzzles. That's it. This is in the same category as Darcy, where it has many other grenade launchers, whether it be exotic or legendary, that perform 10 times better than the grip, with real damage and no charge time needed. But unlike the Darcy, it doesn't do any real damage. The shots are so extremely weak that you can deal more damage with a primary weapon. To put it simply, the Salvation Grip is the worst exotic in Destiny 2 right now. See ya!